Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and you might not be able to see me, but you can hear me, and that is the best that it's going to get for right now. So I would like to wish you the best, by the way, as we are on that topic, because I am currently in the Great North right now of Finland, in this place called Lappiland, or whatever the hell it is. It's just mountains and snow. That's all it is here. It's completely frozen up, and I'll be away from my main battle station for the next, I don't know, until Monday, basically. And then Tuesday, we'll be back to normal. But for now, we'll just be taking it as it goes. And these videos are going to be a little bit more on the shorter side as well. One, I want to enjoy myself here. And two, I just don't have all the tools at my current disposal. As you can see from the news running at the bottom there, might be a little bit outdated or perhaps a harbinger of very desperate times to come. Anyways, with that said, once again, I would like to wish you the best because this is the most important time to be doing it. Anyways, with that said, into the actual charts we go, wasting no time, and we'll start off with Ethereum once again because I do believe that it is leading the way, and we do have the weekly closure coming not today, not tomorrow, but the next day on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I want to start off with the most important thing that's potentially happening the soonest, and that would be the 3-day closure, of which we are going to have a chance to close above the topside shoulder band once again, which would be met with any sort of a closure above 1540-ish and a half actually, and that would give us another about a little bit more than $100 buffer zone between where Ethereum currently is trading at right now and where that pivot point would be. So as long as that condition is met, I would look for this rally to continue on into next week, maybe even the week after that as well. Keep in mind though that Ethereum does have a major event coming in on Monday, the 8th. CME futures are going to be debuting. Now I do want to caution against that, at least for the day before and the day, maybe the day or two afterwards as well. The reason being because, well, we can just go scroll back to December 2017, or December 17th, 2017, I should say, of which when Bitcoin got its own futures on CME, and the high for the next 3 years was set in right on that date at $20,000. So with that in mind, I don't necessarily, or at least I wouldn't blindly call a full-on reversal just based off that for Ethereum. I do think that this market can once again go back into rotations because, well, in this case, we don't necessarily just have Bitcoin leading the party. Now we have a lot of other things kind of joining up with it and having more traditional infrastructure being built around it. So I do think that it is possible to see maybe Bitcoin get rotated in place of Ethereum after that event, maybe like a few days after, whatever it ends up being. But ultimately, I would not necessarily call a reversal based upon it just off of that. So with that in mind, as long as Ethereum is trending above this topside shoulder band right here, again, that level is 1540 on Sunday's closure, I do look at this as more or less likely to have, or at least I would be biased towards new all-time highs, and we still have the same sort of targets in mind further north overhead, of which, where are my damn drawings here? There we go. Wait, that's not my drawing. Hey, what the fuck? I'm using a very, my old laptop, my old gaming laptop actually, which I actually used to use for these videos more than a couple years ago. Surprised it still kind of works actually, but everything's very difficult to maneuver around right now, and actually forgot to bring a mouse too, so I'm using this very god-awful trackpad, which I fucking hate. Anyways, yeah, so here's the chart that I was looking for. And of course, the same targets are still relevant overhead. We did hit our 2-spot extension based off of the ascending triangle that was forming on the daily for the last month and a half, and that was right at, or right below, $1,700 right here. Now, with the advent of the last couple days, I do look for this to more or less continue, as we have been saying. The breakout is looking more or less good. There is one potential counterpoint to that, and that is the volume on this. But the way that I treat it is that I respect the breakout until proven otherwise. So while the volume is not necessarily looking super perfect right here for an actual confirmed breakout, what's more important is price action itself, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a fake out until we do come back down below the breakout, the prior breakout point that is, which actually you can see on this chart I do have around $1,400. You could move that up very easily just to $1,475 actually right here, as long as Ethereum is maintaining closures above that on even a lower term time frame, like a 4-hour, more or less good. And I do look for this one to essentially hit the upper levels, of which the next major levels would be between the 2618 and the 3-spot extension, which are between about 1900 and $2,000. So with that in mind, I am more or less bullish on this. Again, now that we see the daily is trending above the topside shoulder band here too, we can use a little bit of a lower term time frame in comparison to the weekly to kind of gauge the more immediate trend, and the same sort of knowledge kind of applies there as well, at least the same sort of bias applies there as well. Again, as long as we are trending above, good, and if we do get a closure below, that would be cause for caution, but not necessarily cause for a full line reversal until we get both an open and closure below the topside shoulder band. And for reference on the daily, that is trading at 6 1600, so we are clear about 50 bucks above that right now, so looking good. And if I did have to call it, yes, I am looking for basically 1800 plus, anywhere between 1800 and 2000 bucks where I'd be looking for, and potential short-term and medium-term reversals based upon that region. Anyways, what are we looking at? Our momentum oscillator is down here. We do see that DMI ADX is giving us a nice signal. We do see DMI plus technically dominant, although it's not really lifting off right here. So again, another cause for a little bit of concern, but at the end of the day, price action does trump all, to use a bad turn of phrase right there for some people at least. Anyways, more importantly with that, I do still look at this as favoring the upside, as we do see the ADX strengthening, while technically the DMI plus is dominant, but I want to see both of these have a positive slope. Right now, just the ADX has a positive slope. On top of that, we do see that the MACD still increasing on the histogram, and obviously got the bullish cross, as we did speak about 4 days ago on the 1st of February, and that came alongside of a break of structure on the ascending triangle formation, a bullish reaccumulation formation in this case, and then also trending above the topside Toronto band. So all of these things working together does make me, more or less bullish and looking for the upper levels to get hit. I'm just generally bullish on this one right now, and all the higher term time frames are looking good here actually. Weekly, we've already covered that. What about 3-day? Same thing possible here as well. And is this one closing tonight? Yes, it is closing tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if you do see the 3-day close above the top side, which is just under 1700 right now, then I would be looking for this trend to continue into next week, implying new all-time highs. Very likely $1,900 to $2,000 does get hit, and then we'll come back after that. Same sort of signal building here on the DMI plus, which could get over the threshold as soon as today's closure, which I'd say if it closes anywhere here or higher, especially above 1700, that certainly will happen, and the ADX will continue to strengthen as well. Anything else to be aware of? MACD kind of just following through, so not really anything new to speak about there. And what about the 2-day? Did we get a new closure on this one as well? Yes, we do. So we're seeing both the 2-day and the 3-day close tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and the 2-day looks more or less healthy here too. We do see that the DMI plus very much dominant, ADX strengthening, and MACD doing the same sort of give and go there as well. So everything looking more or less fine to me, and I am looking for new high-speed printing on this one probably into the next coming week. With that said, we should move on over into Mr. Bitcoin, or actually should we go through the lower term timeframes first? Yeah, we'll go through the lower term timeframes on Ethereum first. Again, the reason why I'm focusing a lot on Ethereum recently is because I believe that it's leading the market, and any sort of inherent or perceived bullishness in Ethereum, aka as long as it kind of continues this trend to the upside, I imagine that's going to spill on over into all of the other major pairs over time. Again, rotations is the name of the game, and what you really want to see if this market is going to keep itself continuing onwards and forwards in the more immediate sense is we want to see someone else get rotated, likely Bitcoin, after Ethereum has its event on Monday. Anyways, with that in mind, going on to our regular charts over here, as you can see, 4-hour looking pretty damn good. We do see that 4-hour Stokes will naturally turn back up with any sort of a closure above 1659, of which we are just a few bucks below there right now. And I'll be holding the bullish control zone as well. Now, this closure is coming in about 8 minutes and 30 seconds, so we'll actually be able to see this one together. Now, just by closing within that vicinity, I imagine that the next tick is going to be very forgiving or very generous as well. We also do have a little bit of hidden bullish divergence kind of playing out here as well, I would say. A little bit of a complex, yeah, you could call it a complex low, I suppose. And yes, I do believe that this sort of a setup right here, where you see hidden bullish divergence when price action is pretty much already testing the high of that consolidation, typically that does lead into another breakout. So for myself, I see both that and also holding in the bullish control zone while momentum oscillators potentially could even tick up on this next, on this next tick here in 8 minutes, although, still got a little bit to go. I do think that is a setup for probably later today for a good Friday closure. This is also coming alongside of expanding historical volatility percentile, which in this case, trend is to the upside, so I would be looking for this to essentially continue in that direction. Everything looking good on the lower term time frames as far as I'm concerned as well. 3-hour, same shit. We already see the 3-hour kind of leading the 4-hour. Obviously, that's how it naturally should be, and momentum will remain to the upside as long as you're above 16.38 and 15 cents. Same thing on 3-hour RSI, same thing everywhere else. That's the way that it typically should be, but sometimes you do see differences in the lower term timeframes, and that can be a good counter signal, but in this case, we're not seeing that. We're seeing more or less follow through. Same thing on the bi-hourly as well, actually same level as a 3-hour, in fact, and bi-hourly RSI, very, very good right here. This one makes me a lot more confident on this one as well. Hidden bullish divergence, hitting both those points on that complex low. Boom. boom, back up. I wouldn't be surprised if this one makes another run towards 1700 today and probably does break out over the weekend towards new highs. And again, same thing on HBP down here as well. So all lower term timeframes thus far are in concert, and the hourly following through as well. So all of this looks good to me. If I had to call it right now, I do think that Ethereum not only just tests the prior all-time high, but very likely makes new all-time highs over these next few days with the targeted areas in mind as 1900 and 2000 bucks, and then we'll come back to it after that. Hopefully by that time I'm back at my regular bladder station, so I can actually be prepared for such moves. Anyways, looking at this right here, hourly looking good. Momentum remains the upside as long as we're above 1625 on the next closure in 6 minutes and 28 seconds, and counting, by the way. Hourly RSI very constructive here as well. I do like all of this. So yes, all lower term timeframes are in unison right now, and I would be having a short term target very likely back up towards 1685 to 1690ish region, and any sort of a closure basically on new highs. If you want to use a 4 hour, that's fine. If you wanted to use a 2 hour, it's pretty much the same thing. If you want to use an hourly, it's also the same thing as well. Anywhere above essentially 1675 to 1680ish region, then I would be looking for the next trending move upon this whole formation to extrapolate. And again, 1900 to 2000 bucks is where I'm ultimately looking towards, at which point I would be a little bit cautious for any sort of signs of short-term and medium-term reversal. But for now, all looks good on lower-term timeframes. So if I'm going to apply that same sort of logic to Bitcoin, I'm looking for Bitcoin to likely reaccumulate, as we did say yesterday, from a short-term sell-off and try again towards the upside. And is that what we're seeing right now? Well, let's actually follow up on the short-term timeframes first, then we'll go up to the higher-term timeframes. And yes, actually, exactly as per derped. Jesus fucking Christ. I hate that. I absolutely fucking hate that. Not that I hate any of those guys who say that. I actually like, I'm actually very good friends with a lot of them. But it is just fucking funny. Anyways, looking at this right here. So what did we say yesterday? We said yesterday that Bitcoin likely does play out a short-term pullback, but it very likely does get picked back on up and turns into an opportunity. What do we get? We got a short-term pullback down to our first sort of targeted range, about 36,000 bucks. And so far, so good. Actually looks very, very similar to Ethereum, except Ethereum's in new all-time high territory, whereas Bitcoin is consolidating below its prior all-time high. Anyways, with that in mind, I would be looking at this as the actual moment now. And where's my 200 exponential moving average? Is it not on my charts right now? Surely it is. It's at 33,137. Is that right here? No, it's all the way down here. Okay, yeah, it's all the way down here. Okay, fair enough. Jesus Christ, I am going colorblind apparently because I can only see white outside. It's literally just white and then different shades of white right now. It's really it's actually quite beautiful, especially with the mountains in the background. Anyways, okay, yes. So, do I want to go through the lower term timeframes, the higher ones first? Nah, fuck it. Yeah, we'll just go through the low ones here first. Again, whatever Ethereum does, I imagine Bitcoin's going to mirror it in this current drive. Looking at 4 hour SOAPs, what do we see? 38,133 is the magical number. Is it likely to turn up on this next tick in 4 minutes? Probably not, but you're going to see that on the next tick. And I actually got a question about this the other day, which is rather interesting. So I should address this as well. But you're going to see on the next tick that this is naturally going to change. Obviously, that's going to change because the calculation for that is going to be taking into account different closures. So, the number will probably come down and be a lot more generous towards our current posturing. So I'd like to actually reference that. But for right now, as of this closure, it is going to be 38,133. So I highly doubt that we actually will see that. But here's the thing. The next tick will very likely come lower. And where is that going to hit around? The edge of the bullish control zone. What happens typically around there? Even if it is a full-on reversal, typically you do see a little bit of at least counter trend pressure there at the very least. So for right now, we'll see how it operates. Same thing on 4 hour RSI. We're basically looking at a mirror of this and Ethereum, of course. And I would be looking at this as likely holding to the bullish control zone. I do want to see it kind of get a full on closure in here above the exponential, and then that would be very, 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 very good for another try into the deeper ends towards the critical zone of the bullish control zone once again. Basically stair stepping its way upwards and onwards. I mean, I've seen a lot of people get very frustrated shorting this area right here. There's not really been any short opportunities within this area, to be fair. Of course, though, could I switch around to being bearish on Bitcoin at all? Well, yeah, absolutely. But there are specific conditions that I want to see met for that. First and foremost, if it's going to be a short-term or even medium-term move, for that matter, I need to see 34,500 get taken out to the downside. As long as that does not happen, I am just bullish in general on Bitcoin. Can play out a move down there, of course, as well. But as long as it holds, all is well and good. If this area starts to break, that's where things actually do change for myself. And I would be looking for another move back down towards anywhere anywhere between about 31 and 32,000 bucks. Now, that would only be for the short term and medium term. For the long term, I would switch on to full on bearish on Bitcoin, looking at a move towards 23 to 24,000 bucks if, and only if that is, we close on new 4-hour lows below this pivot point right here, or wherever the daily 55 exponential moving average is, because that has, well, been the savior of this rally thus far. You can see wick 1 down right here, wick 2 down right here, and that would be my pivot point and my macro bias changing point as well. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, I don't really look at any like major downside, just short term, medium term, of which right now we do see that the 10 simples crossing the upside of the 20-month exponential moving average. I believe I did release a video on this with Caretaker's anticipated moving average crosses, and just a very simple daily strategy that can be played out usually in line with the current momentum, of which, well, that would be on the same side as well. We do see a daily Stokes going to be remaining to the upside as long as above 33,800, but most importantly with this, we see momentum plus moving averages, so trend plus momentum going in the same direction. Very, very good. Also, RSI is going to be reaching for the bullish control zone. I like all this read as well. This is very constructive right here. All of this is looking very, very good, and I probably just sound like a fucking boolah bunghole to all the new people here, but well, it's been time to be a boolah bunghole, unfortunately, or not, or less than unfortunate. But you know, the last like fucking 4, 5, 6 months have been straight to the upside from 10,000 to where we are right now, without any like major pullbacks. Well, I mean, we've had 30% pullbacks, obviously, but no major reversals, of course. So with that in mind, this still looks more or less good to me, and I would be looking for further upside on this one. Again, next perspective targets on the next short-term breakout would be anywhere between about 40 and 41,000 bucks, and that would essentially be Bitcoin right at the top of the current range, of which if we do see any sort of a breakage above there, which we can do a couple different ways here. We could either, one, be looking at a breakage of our current high on this, or sorry, the current high of this more immediate consolidation right here at about 38,730. Did we actually take that out yesterday? Oh, we did. Hold on, is that on all major exchanges though? Let's make sure. Okay, high 769 versus 570. Yes. Okay. All right. What about Stamp? 748.5 versus 620. Yeah, so higher on there on that as well. You know, I actually do think that that's completely fine in and of itself. Anyways, to me, yes, it is more aggressive, and typically I do err on the conservative side. But granted, what Ethereum is doing, do I think that that's good enough as a signal to target back up towards 40 to 41,000 bucks? Yes. Am I trading it right now? No, I'm playing more medium and long term. What's it called, strategies. So I've actually entered in much lower at the lower $30,000 region. But if I were trading on the short-term timeframes, yeah, I actually would look at that as more or less fine. Now, of course, if you're a little bit more conservative and not super conservative, I'd be looking at a new higher close above 39,150. Anywhere above there, I would denote as a breakout to the next major levels. And then if you're extremely conservative, which I don't think is necessarily warranted in this current environment, just because of what Ethereum is doing, then I'd be looking at 40,600 right here. All of those would be counted as continuation and further breakout points towards the next upside targets, of which I would have the one spot 272 marked off right here, only for a short-term pullback. That is at 43,750. Ultimately, though, I would be looking for a consolidation range to transpire between the 414 and the 272 right here. That'd be between about 45,275 and that same number to the downside, 43,750. Ultimately, though, if you are going to get a fake out, if you are going to get a fake out, meaning perceived breakout and then reversal before the ultimate target is met, then it typically does happen at this level right here. Actually, do I think that that's what's going to happen overall? I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think. If that happens, that happens, and there'll be very easy ways to document it. But let's wait. Let's like worry about that if and when Bitcoin does get there. But ultimately, in this case, especially in this macro environment, do I think that things are going to stop there? Probably not, except for a short-term consolidation. Ultimately, that's when I start targeting these guys over here, which are going to be overlaid between the low $50,000 region and then the very high $50,000 region. If I did have to call things right now, 58,000 to 63,000 is kind of where I'd be looking towards, and that would be the next kind of macro pivot as far as a fib extension perspective goes. Now, I also want to say something a little bit more direct about this as well, because I did get a big question about this on this in the program Discord this morning. Yes, I do still read it even when I am on vacation, because, well, why the fuck not, man? It is my life, Anyways, So the question was, you know, why do you do your fibs backwards on video, basically? And the reason why I do them backwards on video is because I'm using the fib retracement tool right here, not the trend-based extension. And the reason why I do this is because I actually want to see the fibs for the consolidation that you see in this area right here. Yes, they technically are inverted, depending, you know, for that retracement. But what I'm really doing it for is for the extensions right here, because I want to see what the algo target is going to be overhead. Now, keep in mind that with these fibs right here in this consolidation, yes, technically the numbers are not going to be correct, but if you are using default, which I'm actually not, you can see that I've added a couple extra ones in there, then they will be more or less symmetrical. So while it wouldn't necessarily be the right reads, the 382 and the 618 are essentially at the same levels, just opposing each other. So you'd still kind of have an idea of where the algos are kind of situated, and it should naturally line up with pivot points on price action, which you very much see it is. I mean, these are all little short-term consolidations along these areas. So that's why I do it that way. I understand that can be a little bit confusing for some people, but that's just the way that I prefer to do it. Anyways, okay, cool. So we've gone over that. Let's go through the 12-hour. I haven't really looked at this one as of yet. Let's see, what do we have right here? Looks like a give and a go to me. Looks like it wants to continue upwards and onwards. Looks more or less fine. 12-hour RSI telling the story, looking nice and healthy, looking nice and good, consolidating around the edge of the bullish control zone. Usually leads to good things, at least for the blue laws in this case. And 12-hour Stokes, as we identified a couple days ago, we're crossing back up, rejecting the bearish control zone right here. We've been bullish ever since. Well, I mean, we've been bullish a little bit before that, but that gave us a more immediate bullish bias. Looking for that 34,500 pivot to get taken out to the upside and initiate a run towards our 37,500 target, of which that's been hit. And now the next one in the line, looking all good there. Anyways, 2 days having a fresh cross the upside, again closing tonight once again as well. As long as we close above about 33,100, looks more or less good. 2-day RSI looking very good right here, playing out that hidden bullish divergence that we identified a few days ago, and continuation. I mean, it's what it looks like across the board to me. Same thing on 3-day. We see 3-day hidden bullish divergence confirmed as of a couple ticks ago as well. And 3-day Stokes, are they turning in the same direction? They will be with any sort of a closure above 35,765 right now. Sorry, not right now, but at today's closure. So keep that all in mind. Basically, if I had to call up, yes, I do think that Bitcoin not only retests the prior all-time high, probably makes new all-time highs, and we come back to it after that. Also, looking at our trending charts over here, here's what that would say about Bitcoin. Daily could be building a signal on DMI ADX. However, we see that I wouldn't necessarily say that the DMI is like fully erectly dominant. Still needs to get a positive slope, and I want to see the ADX get above the threshold as well. If both those things happen, yes, you know, very, very likely is accompanied by a breakage, or sorry, not a breakage, but a closure above the top side Toronto band. In this case, that would be 38,460. And if that condition is met, then I essentially look at Bitcoin as in the process of trending, meaning breakout, meaning 45,000 bucks is the next legitimate target, and then, you know, we can talk about like 50,000 and 60,000 basically. So with that in mind, building once again, daily MACD also further supporting that. That did get a bullish cross on the breakage of 34,500 level right here, and now we're seeing trending indicators start to take over as well. So I like everything that I'm seeing right now, and I would essentially be looking for continuation coming into next week, very likely. And of course, if Bitcoin does close above the top side Toronto band on the weekly, I mean, that's just going to, you know, set the bias in for the next couple weeks to come. So with all of that in mind, you know, I like what I see. I do want to also reflect upon the monthly just one last time as well. Right here, let's take a quick look at it. And yes, the monthly trending above the top side Toronto band, looking very good. At some point, of course, it will close below, but for now, you know, respect it until it doesn't work, because you never know how long it's going to go. I mean, you can go back in history and see that, I mean, you know, it can go for years at a time, really, if it wants to. In this case, also, I do want to highlight the accumulation distribution indicator did retain its positive slope, as well as the MACD histogram also increasing pressure here as well. So to me, this those two things combined with each other does speak towards the macro, and I look at the macro as still likely to produce some new all-time highs before the party's over, or at least before the next major consolidation, of which we did play at a pretty damn good consolidation right here below the $40,000 level. And keep in mind that this was about a 32.5% consolidation, or sorry, 32.5% drop down right here. I'm a little bit less than that, it looks like. But more importantly, that is very much within the context of Bitcoin's past prior consolidations in its general bullish markets, like you see all the way over in 2015 to 2017 over here. I'll measure out a few of them. I don't want to do a whole hell of a lot because, well, I want to go snowboard actually. 35.75% on this one, 20, about 32% right there. And if we go on this one from top to bottom, what are we looking at? About 35, 36. If we look at this one right here, just after that, that was about a 33.5%. And we'll look at this one right here as well, and you got yourself another about 37%. So very much within the same sort of context of that, historically speaking. So do I think that Bitcoin's, played out its first major consolidation after breaking to new all-time highs and likely does set up for a further continuation? To put it bluntly, yes, I do. Again, as long as the conditions that we overlaid earlier are met, and they are right now, so all is well and good. I want to quickly check out CMEs over here to see if there's anything different going on right here. Looks good to me, man. Looks good to me. Actually, haven't seen the same sort of bullish MACD cross as well, but this one, if we see a cross the upside with any sort of a closure above 39,450, that's going to look really, really good. And let's see what this would say over here. 38,554 is a magical number to cross that back up. Nice one. All right, looking pretty damn good right now. And DMI ADX also suggesting the same sort of signal is in progress as well. So everywhere that I look, it's looking fine, at least for now. Is there anything else that I want to cover? Ooh, gold heading down to my 1780-ish target. I would be looking for a bounce a little bit lower here. Yeah, somewhere around 1780 to 1775 region. After that, though, I don't have any further calls on that one. What do we have on NASDAQ? Do we have new all-time highs? We do have new all-time highs. How crazy is that? Once again, and I imagine it's going to produce new all-time highs. Probably going to close on new all-time highs fucking today. Where'd my next sort of short-term target be? I don't know, wherever the top side is right now, and that's 13,736 region. So anywhere around there, I'd be looking for, I'd be looking for a move. It looks pretty damn good right now. In fact, all momentum also just pointed up northwards, and there you go. Anyways, what about SPY futures? I imagine the same thing. Oh, what do you know? The exact same fucking thing. That's crazy that these things trade in complete unison with each other. And yes, short-term target on this one would probably be about just below 3,900 bucks. It looks like, which we're not too far away from right now. Let me just make sure that I'm recording and the microphone's working. Okay, great. Probably sounds like I'm underwater with a shitty microphone, but that's okay. And what else do we got? I think that's pretty much it for what I want to talk about. Like I said, I do have to keep these videos a little bit on the shorter side while I am out here in the Great North, just because also I don't really know what my internet connection is going to be like, so this uploading may take longer than usual. But there you go. I think I'll leave things off right there. Anyways, I want to wish you well once again. I want to wish you the best because well, it's a nice Friday mid-afternoon, no, early afternoon in Finland right now, and I hope that I can pass on those good vibes to everyone out there because the world could use it right now. The world could use it. Have some fucking snow in your life. Have some jacuzzis in your life. Have some fucking snowboarding in your life. And we will speak soon. Take care, and until next time.